Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 4 of X-Men From the Ashes, written by Jed MacKay. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. Alright everyone, this issue opens with Magik sitting down and playing a game of chess with someone over the phone. And as she was playing, the narrator made it clear that she was losing badly. But this wasn't anything new to her when it came to chess. Because she was never good at chess to begin with, but winning wasn't the point was to keep from losing for as long as possible. And right before Magik could make her next move, Temper rushed onto the scene and informed her comrade that they had something about to pop off. In fact, Temper went on to say Cyclops stated that the upstarts are at it again. And on the next page, we see the upstarters sending out a live broadcast all over the internet. At first, on this broadcast, Trevor Fitzroy put forth a problem that he wanted to solve for the people. Because as we all know, humankind hates mutants, but Trevor here wants to be adored, but the only problem is that Trevor is a mutant. So the solution he put forward is to kill all the new mutants live on his stream that was turned by the fake mutant contagion. Now that Trevor's live stream is up, Cyclops points out that Trevor made a mistake by allowing the landmarks around them to be isolated in their video. As a result, Trevor's location is now known, and Cyclops wants their strike team to scramble to Detroit. Now he is aware that they are short-handed at the moment because Quentin and Psylocke are in the middle of a psychic rescue. Therefore, Cyclops has to stay at the base in case something happens, which means Magik has to run the operation with Temper and Juggernaut. With only a 3-man team available and no psychics on board, Magik couldn't help but to notice how lean their strike force was. To which Scott had to point out that the situation wasn't ideal, and because of that, he was also planning on sending Beast as additional support. With those orders given, Beast quickly spoke up, due to his unwillingness to participate in this operation. The excuse Beast gave was that he was otherwise engaged in a secret project, and his work precluded him from going into the field. Now, to this, Cyclops reassured him that he remembered the project clearly, but he didn't want to have another mutant murder livestream out there, and because of that, Beast's work could wait. With Cyclops' stance made known, Beast then replied by stating if they had all forgotten what happened to Magneto, because whatever happened to him could happen to all of them, which in Beast's words is equivalent to them all being a ticking time bomb. Now at this point in the story, we have no idea what Beast is referring to, but I'm positive it will play a part later in the story. But anyway, with the decision made, Magik chimes in and tells Beast that she is the team leader and he is on her team. Whether he likes it or not, he signed up for this, and if he didn't want to be there, then he could just hide out with Rogue and her crew down in Louisiana. So with that down, we then transition over to Detroit, with a female mutant running for her life as a voice calls out to her mockingly. But like most horror movies, the frightened woman slipped and fell on the floor just as the villain was upon her. And on the last panel, we see Trevor and his upstarts standing ready to conduct their first violation on their live stream. But before they could do the deed, a portal opened up next to them and out popped Magik's strike team in all their force. And just as ordered, Beast was among their ranks with Magik taking the lead and giving Trevor one chance to surrender. But see, Trevor is all about the theatrics, and surrendering would make a boring stream. So instead of doing what was told of him, he decided to ask about the lack of back-and-forth banter. And just like that, the fight was on, and as I said before, based on their lineup, Magik's team is still overpowered. So with things getting intense, Trevor, much like Magik, created a portal of his own and attempted to jump. And once he was through, Trevor pointed out how his time portal has plenty of things from throughout the timeline stored up. Like for example, a flood of lava from the 2013 Mount Etna eruption. Now on a side note, if this was truly lava, then I don't know how Magik survived that attack. But anyway, on the next page, we see Juggernaut running full speed toward the upstart strongman on the team. But as you may have guessed, this man was no match for Juggernaut, and he was fully aware of it. So to save his own butt, this man called for his teammate, Orbit, to tag in and used his abilities to warp and manipulate the ground under the unstoppable man's feet. Following that, Juggernaut crashed onto the ground, unable to regain his footing. So with that fight going less than ideal, we then see Beast doing his thing. And before Beast could land his attack, Orifice let out a massive green blast that was moments away from hitting our blue friend. But with Beast's agility, he was able to avoid it just in time to cross paths with Orbit. And as planned, Orifice Blast connected center mass with Orbit, effectively knocking him out of the sky. So with orbit down, Juggernaut returned to his feet and asked his opponent why he was fighting against mutants anyway. To which, the fame-crazy mutant stated he did it for fame and attention. So with that fight still continuing, we then hop over to Magic, yet again, blocking an attack coming from Trevor's portal, but this time she was blocking an attack by the abomination from the 23rd century. As she was blocking that, Trevor asked her if she could only muster up 4 additional X-Men to fight him. To this, Magic replied by saying he wasn't worth a full team. Following that statement, Magic threw her blade at him and missed by mere inches as Trevor transitioned, again, in his portal. Now, despite Magic being unable to hit Trevor at the moment, things were still going according to plan because throughout this fight, Trevor lost track of the goal. He lost the mutant. Because on the next page, we see Temper carrying the new mutant with her far away from the battlefield. Once they were safe, Temper let the woman down and told her she should be safe now, but she needed to get back to the fight. Before she could leave, the woman asked if she was really a mutant now. With that level of shock setting in, Temper went on to tell her that she is, and because of that, she is now in danger, and she was sorry. Then Temper went on to say there can be beauty and miracles in finding out what one truly is, because as of today, she is a part of a new world, a world that Temper is familiar with. Following that going down, we then jump over to Juggernaut doing what he does best and being the unstoppable force he is. So as Orpheus continued to let out his blast, he took a moment to ask why Marco was even fighting, considering he wasn't even a mutant. To which Juggernaut states, yeah and no, yeah he isn't a mutant, but as long as he wears the X on his head, this battle has everything to do with him. Because according to Marco, he isn't a symbol but instead he is a target, and he wears it so anyone who thinks they're going to take their shot has to look at him in his eyes. So with that battle wrapping up, we then jump over to Beast doing the same thing. And as he was taking out his opponent, he states that he had enough of this foolishness wasting his time, because he had important work to do. So with that done, Trevor calls for a retreat, but before he leaves, he stated that the X-Men may have won, but he will make sure he edits it in a way to show that the upstarts came out on top. Now this statement right here pissed Magic off, because she really wanted to know if having fame meant everything to him. To which Trevor replied by saying the X-Men may get off on being feared and hated, but he wants the very worst of them to love him. Because he, himself, is the very worst of mutant kind. So because of that, he is going to give them the very worst thing to see, to watch, to revel in. Because as long as they love him, and hate and fear the X-Men, he will always win. And with that statement, Trevor and his upstarters teleported away. So, with the battle over, we then jump over to the upstarters' headquarters where we see a voice from the shadows telling Trevor he failed. Now, this was something Trevor completely disagreed with, because all he was focused on were the numbers from the streams. According to Trevor, his numbers were through the roof, and the viewers couldn't get enough of it. Following that, the stranger from the shadows points out that if all Trevor cares about is views and receiving happy brain chemicals, then he could graft a tailored dopamine pump into his body. Because the whole reason why this person in the shadows sponsored Trevor was to get his hands on the new mutant. Now, at first, Trevor offered his benefactor, Orpheus, but see, not any old mutant would do, for it had to be one of the new ones. Because someone seemed to have cracked the X gene. And by doing that, they have been able to make new mutants out of regular people. And what Sugarman wanted was to know who was behind it and how they were pulling it off. Because if this was how things were going to be moving forward, then he wanted to make sure he got a taste of it. Following the revelation, we transitioned back to the factory, where Beast was having a conversation with Cyclops, and during their interaction, Beast tells Scott that Trevor got away and the new mutant, by the name Jennifer Starkey, came back with them. Now this wasn't really a problem for Cyclops, because he was just going to move her into their new quarters. But despite still having a little bit of space left, Cyclops did also state that eventually, they will have to focus on expanding to more parts of the factory due to them running out of livable space. With that issue solved, Scott then went on to ask about Magic's well-being, to which Beast states that she is doing better than they were at her age. In fact, he even went as far as to say she was born for this. With that out there, Magic thinks to herself how they are always under attack. Because if they aren't attacked by humans, aliens, and robots, then they are attacked by their own people. So to her, it's all the same because she has been fighting her whole life. Now with that established, we then see Magic returning back to her chessboard and returning to the game with the person whose number was blocked. And as she texts him, she thinks to herself that they can never win, but once again, it is not about winning, it's about keeping themselves from losing for as long as possible. And in the last panel, we see the identity of the block number she has been playing against as none other than Colossus. And with that said, this issue comes to an end. But anyway, down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.